So I'm going to start straight with the poem. Usually I intro first, but we'll start straight with the poem. So the name of tonight's talk is You. The name of the poem is You. You. Yeah, you. You are the most important person in your life. Uncomfortable? It's okay. Truth often is. But hear this. Prioritizing you is not selfish. Dismissing yourself, that is. We've been taught to give, to shrink, to serve from an empty well, but you can't pour from what you don't have. Your peace, your joy, your health, they matter because you matter. So tell me, what version of yourself are you living? One you chose or one handed down? Did you pick your path or just follow the signs someone else planted? Career, city, beliefs, relationships, if you could do it all over, would you choose the same? Ram Dass once said, I can do nothing for you but work on myself. You can do nothing for me but work on yourself. That's not ego, that's alignment. A candle only lights others if it's lit. A cup only pours if it's full. You serve best from overflow, not depletion. I learned this the hard way. Doing too much, saying yes to everything except myself. Told myself I was balancing, but I was lying. To you, to them, mostly to me. Until a mentor asked me, what's your ideal day? And when I dared to answer honestly, I saw that my ideal day was just one decision away. I left the noise, returned to myself, and eventually everything changed. Now I ask you, what does your ideal day look like? No buts, just truth, no filter, no fear, just you. Because alignment, spirit, mind, body, that's where your answers live. Not out there, in here. So write it down. What grounds your spirit, what sharpens your mind, what strengthens your body, what ignites your creativity. Because the greatest gift you'll ever give the world is a you that loves yourself fully, deeply, unapologetically. If today were your last day, who didn't you get to become? Let the answer never be me. Because everything good, everything true, everything lasting starts first with you. So, that lays the land that we're going to be going through tonight. And it might seem hard to think that you should be thinking about how you are the most important person in your life. In that poem you heard talking about being selfish. Selfless at the other end of it. And I feel like we are coached and told to be putting others before ourselves. And there's a time for that and a point for that, but as we'll talk about tonight, you have to put yourself first before you can really and truly serve others. So, I think one of the best places to kind of start and figure out, are you putting yourself before others? It's just figuring out what version of yourself are you actually embodying today. And if you've been to past talks or listened to them, we've kind of hit on some of this before, who's writing the story of your life. But the version of yourself that showed up here tonight, do you even know which version that is? Did you choose that version of yourself? Is that the version of yourself that you want to be bringing to the world? And how did you get there? So if you think about your decisions in life and how you got here, going to college, the major you chose, the career you went into, the relationships you're in, your belief systems, like those have been a part of you for so long, but are they part of you because you chose them? Or are they part of you because they were kind of instilled in you and you just ran with them? So did you consciously make decisions to get you where you are today? Or did you make decisions because you felt like you were obligated to, because you were supposed to? And if you had the opportunity to go back and make those decisions again, would you make the same decisions? And it's not to go back and rewrite our history, because everything, all the decisions you made that got you here today were for a reason. But as we think in going forward, if we made decisions that weren't really ours to get where we are today, do we want to continue to make decisions influenced by others, or maybe that aren't really true and authentic to us going forward? So we can't change the past, but we can change the future, or we can direct the future by thinking more about who we really are, who we want to be. So thinking about what version you are of yourself today and what that future version of you is going to look like. But you can't get there if you don't prioritize you. So there's a quote that I like, and I wrote it down to make sure I don't get it wrong. So Ram Dass is a spiritual leader. He's passed away a few years ago, but he said, I can do nothing for you but work on myself. And you can do nothing for me but work on yourself. And it's a very simple question, or a very simple quote, but it carries a lot of weight, and it will be the theme for most of tonight's talk. That we often so much think that the way that we can help somebody and make somebody's life better is by doing something for them. And maybe there is a point where we do provide a service and we do something to help somebody else, but the best thing I can do to help you is to be the best version of myself. And in order for me to be the best version of myself, I have to prioritize me and put me first in some areas before I can help others. So if we were to kind of simplify who we are as individuals, and let's just say that you were a candle. You as a candle can't light any other candle if you aren't lit first yourself. And your flame can't pass to the next if your flame isn't big enough and bright enough to pass on to the next wick. So just like the candle can't light another candle, you can't pour into somebody else if you're not taking care of yourself. And sticking with the theme of pouring, we can go another direction and thinking about a cup. You can't pour into another cup if it's empty. A depleted cup puts nothing into the next cup. You can't pour into others if your cup isn't full. And in thinking of how do you fill your cup and how can you pour into others, the best way, the infinite way to pour into others is if your cup is overflowing. You can pour from a full cup, but eventually it's going to run out. But if your cup is filling others because the overflow, you're pouring so much into yourself, you have so much of yourself to give that it spills over, then you never run out of your cup and then you are spilling into others. So you have to prioritize taking care of you in order for you to take care of others. And that gets to sounding very selfish, but this is not the first time you've heard something along these lines. I'm sure we've all been on a plane once or twice in our lives. And what do they tell you at the very beginning of the plane? If there's an emergency, put your oxygen mask on before you help somebody else. Even your kids. You can't help somebody else in an emergency on a plane if you don't first take care of yourself. And I don't think we think twice about that. That seems obvious that we would do that. Just as it is on the plane, it's the same thing in life. And by prioritizing yourself, it's not being selfish. We think that if we put ourselves first, then we're not being kind, we're not trying to help other people, and that we should be selfless. And I naturally default to the side of being selfless, putting others first, being a people pleaser. And I come by it honestly because of my parents, and not mainly, but big time from my dad. Both of my parents are selfless, but my dad is selfless to the fault. And we've talked about this on podcasts before. And one of my favorite selfless stories of his was when we were younger, sometime in the 90s, and we went to get a new car. And we were going to get a Honda Accord. The new Honda Accord, it was this like turquoise, bluish green color that was really popular back in the 90s. We test drove it. We were all excited to get it. We're sitting down to do the paperwork, and then the salesman comes over and says that there's somebody else here that wants the car as well. And they're sitting across the showroom. And I don't remember if my dad got up, but he saw who it was, and he happened to know who the guy was. And I think the gentleman worked at the same place as my dad, but he was also in the military. And so my dad knew that he had just come back from the Middle East, I'm pretty sure. And once he knew who it was, knowing what he had done, my dad said he can have the car. And passing on a car isn't really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But think about when you're getting ready to get something that you're excited about, something that you really want. The whole family's there. We're all excited about it. It's a brand new car, this cool color, has a sunroof. Like everybody's excited. And then to just walk away from it when we could have tried to fight for it. And we didn't even get another Honda. I think we got a Mazda 626. I remember the car we got. It's funny. Ange knows I don't have the greatest memory of my childhood, but that is something that sticks out to me. And I think it sticks out to me because I didn't know it at the time. And I really didn't think about it until now, that seeing how to put other people before ourselves. And thankfully, that situation wasn't a negative in our life. There's other cars. But that is what I grew up around. Tons of other examples I could give you. So I default to being selfless. And it's hard for me to think about putting myself before my family or putting myself before my clients. And for a long time, there's a period where I was doing a lot of that. I was working RLS Wealth. I was a chief of staff at a startup. I had a community of advisors that I was running, being a husband, being a dad, and I was making sure everybody else was taken care of but myself. I wasn't eating well or eating enough. I wasn't working out anymore. I was sleeping, but it wasn't good sleep. I was at home with the AirPod in my ear at dinner, on conference calls every night. I even remember being in Tennessee for one of Roman's soccer tournaments on a Saturday on a conference call. And I was lying to myself the whole time that I was being present and I was being able to balance all these things. And I even remember in that Tennessee trip being on that call and getting stung by a bee. And I hadn't been stung by a bee probably since childhood. And I wasn't operating from the same place of alignment as I am today, knowing like if I was this version of me back then, I wouldn't be doing all that. But if I was, I would have immediately known that that bee sting was a sign from the universe to cut this shit out. But I didn't know it at the time, and I kept going. And there was a moment, and thanks to a mentor of mine, that I realized that I was doing way more than I needed to and doing things that weren't really authentic to me. I was forcing myself into roles that I thought I was supposed to do. The chief of staff role, it was a cool opportunity. I made the decision with my own free will, but I did it because my friend was the CEO and I knew he needed help and support, and that I was one of the few people who could give that to him what he needed. So I didn't need to be there. It was a cool opportunity, but the really deciding factor was I need to go here so I can help Tyrone out because I know he needs that help. So I was putting Tyrone first, which I would probably do again. But nonetheless, all of that compiled up to be doing too much. And I didn't realize it in the moment. I would leave a client meeting here, hop in the car, hop on a conference call, drive home, do another meeting. It was just busyness. And a mentor of mine gave me an exercise even before I was doing all these roles, and it was to do my ideal day, which is going to be your first exercise tonight. So like last time we did an exercise, we're going to do a couple exercises tonight. But the ideal day is an exercise that I will forever love, because if it wasn't for that exercise and the realization I had about 6 months after I did it, I don't know if my life would have changed the way that it did. And the change was I realized at some time during the chaos of everything that I was doing, I thought about my ideal day. And what I realized was that because of the way I had to reposition my day to do all the things I was doing, if I were to remove the startup part of my life, then I would have my ideal day in front of me. And if that was my ideal day, then I only had to do it. You can listen about it if you want. Okay. No worries. So if I have this ideal day that I wrote down, that I said, this is the day I would love to live every single day, and it's right in front of me, if I remove this one thing, it was a no-brainer. And within a few days, I had a tough conversation with Tyrone, told him that, hey, I can't do this anymore, I'm doing too much, I'm going to leave. And that was the tipping point that put me in a situation where I stumbled into finding an alignment of my spirit, mind, and body, moved closer to the authentic, true version of myself, which has led me to where I am today, leading to figuring out my purpose and what it is I'm really supposed to do in this world. But it all went back to the ideal day. So, with that story being shared, I want to have each of you spend maybe 5 minutes, and we'll go through your ideal day. Now, this is only actually part of the exercise. So this is going to be fill out your day from 5 a.m. to midnight, as much as you can. And I don't expect you to get them all done in this short amount of time, so you can finish it later. But if you really want to take it to the next level, in addition to what it is that you're doing, the exercise that I did and the exercise I take clients through is also think about the details of your life. Meaning, where are you? What does your house look like? All of the details. And there are a few rules to this exercise that I want to make sure you do. First off, prioritize you on this day. Be traditional definition of selfish. We're going to talk about selfless versus selfish in a minute, but be selfish. This is your ideal day. Prioritize you. There are no buts in this exercise, meaning you can't want to write something down and then say, but. So for me, part of my ideal day was being in California. I put that on my details of my ideal day, but I know that the but behind that is my family doesn't want to move to California. I don't want to change my lifestyle. Don't restrict the possibilities of what could be by putting down a but. there's no promise that your ideal day is what you're going to get to live. There may be details that would be ideal for you today that you can't have right now, but still write them down, because it doesn't mean they can't be something in the future. And then it wouldn't be me if I didn't encourage you to find an opportunity to address your spirit, mind, and body in your ideal day, because that's so important to finding your alignment that you should have it on there. All of these things take time, which is why it's important to put it on your ideal day. If we're talking about prioritizing ourselves, and part of the way we do that is taking care of our spirit, mind, and body, if those things take time out of the day, then they need to be somewhere on your ideal day. So take a few minutes, write down as much as you can. You can come back and finish the exercise later. We're not going to share, so this is private to you. But I hope that this exercise becomes really meaningful for you on your journey. All right, we'll start. I'll give you like another minute to make some fun notes. Again, you can finish this later. And I actually just redid my ideal day. Tuesday I was walking to the coffee shop to do some work from. So this is nice, get some steps in, work from outside. And as I was walking, I realized, as I was thinking through tonight's talk, I realized that it's time for my ideal day to change. Not drastically, but I'll be making some changes to it as far as like when I start my client meetings. And part of it was, as I was walking, I realized how much I really valued not having to rush to work. Like, I was walking to the coffee shop at 9 o'clock. I got stopped along the way by a high school buddy of mine I haven't seen for years. He's driving the other way and happens to notice me and like whips around, and we talk for 25 minutes. And there was no rush. And I was like, I want to make sure that at least through the summer, I have this same ability to just ease in. So my meetings will start later. And then as I was thinking, I can see how my ideal day will change maybe next year, because as my business evolves and I start taking on clients in a new relationship, I'll have to have more than the one meeting a day I want to have now. And so my ideal day. So your ideal day will change. Don't let it become stagnant, because as you've heard before, the authentic life is not a destination, it's an evolution. So all of the details of your authentic life, ideal day included, are an evolution. And you can take the ideal day to a next step and do ideal week, and you can extrapolate it out as much as you want. But for me, this is an exercise that I will always love. And interestingly enough, the process I use, the vote process, the ideal day is one of the exercises that we do as well. So it's kind of cool that it was important to me. And then later on, I go get this designation, and it's an important part of that designation. So, we have your ideal day, or we're working towards it. Again, prioritizing yourself does not mean you're being selfish. An important part, a benefit of prioritizing yourself, is you will find yourself moving closer to your alignment. And if you haven't been to a previous talk or listened to them, the importance of the alignment, and when I talk about alignment, my alignment is spirit, mind, and body. That's a big core belief I have. When you have a strong alignment, then that is connecting you with your creator, your higher power, the divine power. And when you have that connection, you find yourself getting more clues, getting more direction, getting more guidance to who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. But again, you can't find that alignment if you're not taking the time to prioritize yourself, so you can do your spiritual practices, you can do your mindfulness practices, you can take care of your physical body. And if I'm being fully transparent, I'm glad I'm having this talk right now, because over the last couple months, with AAU picking up and soccer picking up, I have not been prioritizing my body the way that I should be. So this talk is kind of a reminder to myself that, hey, I have to be doing this as well to have that alignment. So with that alignment, like I said, you get a better understanding of who you are, and then you have better clues about where you're supposed to be moving forward. And when you have that alignment for yourself, your cup is overflowing, and now you are able to pour into others without sacrificing you. So one of the big reasons for prioritizing yourself, and my beliefs and my theory, is it also helps you maintain that alignment. If you're not prioritizing yourself, then it's nearly impossible to be fully aligned. And in the 2 talks ago, I talked about how I do believe within our alignment there's a range, plus or minus, let's just say 5 measurements of alignment that you don't always have to be perfectly aligned. You have some wiggle room. But when you start to drift too far, then that's when alignment starts to fall out. And the further you drift, then the louder the universe is trying to pull you back into alignment. Another benefit besides the alignment the synchronicity of life with alignment is when you're moving in alignment, as you're trying to find your authentic self, you're trying to live your authentic life, navigate through life, there's questions that you have and answers that you are seeking. And to all of life's important questions, all of those answers you seek are within you already. They're in there. And with a stronger alignment, the easier it is for you to find and discover those. And sometimes you might need somebody to help guide you to find those answers, but nobody can tell you those answers. There are answers on the outside. There are answers you will need and seek in life on the outside world, math, science, those types of questions. But the most meaningful ones, the ones about purpose, the ones about life, the ones even about what is it you're supposed to do next. Am I supposed to stay here or go there? Those answers, no one else can tell you. They all lie within you. And having alignment by prioritizing yourself is one of the best ways to be able to figure those things out. Your intuition speaks to you louder. The bald eagles come out of the woodwork to talk to you and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. Things just fall into shape because you've taken the time to prioritize you to maintain your alignment. And now that we're talking about alignment, your next exercise, if you flip to the first page, there's a few boxes. It's all the same exercise. I want to take a few minutes to allow you to think about how you are going to maintain your alignment. How are you going to prioritize yourself to make sure you maintain the alignment of your spirit, mind, and body in the way that you need to do best? I don't believe there's a right way to do it. For me, the important things I do, meditation, creating, writing, working out, yoga and weights. In an ideal world or in the future, like adding in some breath work. This summer, I would love to have yoga and hot saunas and cold plunge alternations going on. What are the things that make you feel the best and pull you into alignment? And the two boxes are, one box is what are you doing today for that? And the second box is what would you like to be doing? Maybe there are things that you aren't doing that you feel will help you that you would want to do. And then the challenge in this also is, I think creativity is an important part of who we are and what we're supposed to do. How will you express your inner creator? And that's the third box. And that's kind of the bonus. I'd focus on the alignment part first, and then how can you express your inner creator? How can you be creative in the world? What does that look like? All right. I'll let you wrap up your thought, and then you can finish this later on. And again, this is just designed to get you thinking. There are no right answers. There's only the right answer for you. And after you reflect on this some more later, you might go back and change your answers. But my whole goal with these talks is just to get you thinking about things maybe you've never thought about that might open doors or connect thoughts that get you moving in a different direction if that's where you're supposed to be going. So the last part of this talk probably should be what I lead off with, but I want to have it towards the end because I want you thinking about it on the way out. And the whole point of the talks and the exercises and focusing on you and living your authentic life is, like, I want to see more people happy with themselves. And I think there are a lot of people who are living lives that don't fulfill them and they're unhappy. And just as Ram Dass said, I can't do anything for you but work on myself, and you can't do anything but work on yourself. The reason for that is, if I'm not happy with me, then I can't love you. Like, you can't love somebody if you don't love yourself. And maybe love comes before happiness, maybe happiness comes before love. I don't know. But all I know is you can't pour into others like I talked about. You can't love other people if you don't love yourself first. And so much of what I've witnessed, so much of the unhappiness that exists stems from people not getting to be who they want to be. It manifests in the way of frustration, of discontentment, And maybe they don't know who they're supposed to be. They just know that something's not right. And that's what's causing the frustration, is the unknown. Or maybe there are people who know that there's another version of themselves they want to be, but they feel that they can't be that. Whether that's their constraints or responsibilities or self-limiting thoughts that don't allow them to get there. And if you can't be the version of yourself that you want to be, and if you can't be happy with yourself, then you can't love others. And with all of the craziness that's going on in the world, the answer to solve it all, as woo as it is love. Like, that's the answer to it all. So if each one of us were to be able to be happier with ourselves and move closer to the version of ourselves that we were created to be, which I believe allows you to be happy with yourself, then if you think if everybody's there, then everybody's happy, everybody's loving themselves, and it's much easier to love others. The negative feelings we have towards other people are often a reflection of something about ourselves that we don't like. And so if you are happy with you, then when you look at somebody else, you're less likely to be mad at them at something that's reflecting back at you, because you're at peace with who you are. You are who you're supposed to be. There is no internal conflict, because you are the person you believe you're supposed to be. And then therefore you're not getting upset with somebody over something minor because of what it reflects onto you. The outside world takes on your inside feelings. So if you're unhappy with yourself, then you're going to be unhappy with the outside world. And whether that is the outside world is doing things to you, or you just see negativity in the outside world because you're unhappy. So if you want to change the way the world is coming to you, change the way you feel about yourself, and see what the differences are. And I have many times I've said this, and I'll say it a bunch in the future, I have no academic research to show you that is true. I just have personal experience and the experiences of others I've talked to, and that's all I need. Not everybody is that way, but I've experienced it myself, I've seen it, I've seen people on the other end to tell me that there is some truth behind it, and I know that there is more science going on that is proving these things, but I don't take the time to research it because I don't need it. All the research I need is the experiences. So if you can find happiness with yourself, then you can show up in the world better, and you can be one person making the world a better place. And I don't believe you can be happier and love yourself more without making sure that you're prioritizing yourself and taking care of yourself. And I want to address selfishness a little bit more, because I am telling you to be more selfish. You need to be selfish to take care of yourself. There is a fine line, though. There is a point where you can overstep and become too selfish. And I was trying to think about what's the best way to help people figure out what that line is. And I think that the selfishness becomes a problem when the reason you're doing something is all about you. And my reason for you to be selfish to take care of yourself, I want you to be happier, but it goes back to the candle. It goes back to the cup. I want you to take care of yourself so you can be better for other people. So the selfishness to make sure you're the best version of yourself is, yes, for you, but it's also for others. When you start doing things that it's all about you and not about other people, that's what becomes problematic. So there is a fine line between saying, all right, I'm not going to give everybody 100% of my time because I need part of my time to take care of myself. That's not selfish. It might seem like it, but it's not. And I had to remind myself that if I don't take care of myself and I give everybody 100% of my time, but I'm only showing up as 60% of me, if I give everybody else 80% of my time but 100% of me, then the concentration of me that they get is greater, which will be better for everybody. I can be better for all of you if I take 20% of my time for me to be my best versus I'm going to run myself down but give you 100% of my time. So it's like you want to be giving everybody the highest concentration of yourself, the biggest dose of yourself, and you won't need as much time, because that's often the thing that I think becomes that's the biggest part of what it is we need to figure out in prioritizing ourselves is our time. And so taking time for yourself may seem like it's selfish, but it's not. Doing everything for yourself and not putting others first with your high quality time, that's when it becomes more selfish. So there is a fine line. I don't want to pretend like do everything and make everything about you. The good selfish is to be doing things to prioritize yourself, to make yourself the best, and then go prioritize other people. So I want to leave you with a question. This comes from the process that I use in my Aligned Life relationship. It comes from George Kinder's Evoke process. All of the credit to George. This is not my question. But it's a really important question. And if you've had had a tough time coming up with some of these things, it's hard for you to put yourself first. Maybe this question will help. So the question is, or the scenario with the question is, today you go to the doctor's office and you get the news that today is your last day. And it's not what would you do in the remaining time that you have. The question I have for you, if today was your last day, who did you not get to become? What did you not get to do? What was left unfinished? And if you can be honest with yourself in those questions lies a lot of direction of where you may want to be looking and where you may be wanting to go. So, it's hard to think about putting yourself first, especially those of us that have partners or have kids. We want to take care of everybody else, but the best way you can take care of other people is to take care of yourself first, and then go take care of them. So, what thoughts? This is my favorite part of the talks. This is the post-talk conversation. What thoughts, questions come up off of this idea of prioritizing you in order to move closer to your authentic life? And we all know there's one person here who has no problem giving us a question.
I have a thought.
Yes.
I think as a woman, we are innately nurturing, and I think it's hard as a woman and having children to like I said, innately want to do that and always want to focus on yourself first. I feel like that's tough.
I won't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that because I'm not a woman. So I can't put myself
I just
into
think
that.
by default, by nature, women are more nurturing and more giving. I think it's hard to think of putting yourself first and doing those things for yourself. If you have that choice, go to the gym or go do something for your kids, you're going to choose that first. I think that's fine.
And I also think, whether it's genetics or makeup, I also think it's that's what we've been told as well. Like that's a mom's job. But I'll just say, as a dad, I feel the same thing as well. Which is why I haven't been working out the way I should be. Because there's trainings to go take Roman to, there's games, there's practices, it's Omaha, it's Michigan. At the end of the day, if I'm being honest with myself, those are excuses for me because I could fit it in. But it is hard not to do that. But at the end of the day, who knows what my lack of taking care of myself could do for the long term of my relationship with the boys. If I'm not taking care of myself and I end up getting sick or whatever it may be, then, okay, yeah, I got to take him to practice, but I'm not there to see grandkids. And I also think part of it is, doing a better job as couples and partners of allowing the other the time to go do the thing they need to do. So go to class and I'll take care of the morning stuff or whatever it might be, being supportive of each other.
It's funny, that example of the gym is exactly what I thought of when you talked about taking care of yourself to be your best for others. I've noticed that as a new dad to a 7-month-old, and of course it's like you just said, things my wife and I have give and take of hey, you need to go do this to make yourself feel better. My day is just thrown off if I don't go to the gym, for example. And I feel like a lot of new parents, whether it's gym or whatever it might be, it's my focus has to be my baby, and my daughter is my focus, but my ability or my quality of being a dad that day, if I don't go to the gym in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
is significantly less. So it's
Mhm.
like I have to do this, this is me time, and it's early in the morning, so it's not like screwing up her day, but I gotta take care of me. That makes me a better father for my daughter. 'Cause I'm, charging myself up first thing in the morning to where I'm a better dad throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely think that there is, like, the spirit, mind, body part. Like, I do think that making time to take care of your body is important. One, for longevity, but also, to your point, like the neurological chemicals and everything that comes out of like working out, the endorphins and stuff that make you feel better. So like, it's not just work out because you stay healthy, but also work out for the mental benefits of it, to be better and show up. And it does take, even though you're working out in the morning, that means you've got to be getting to bed at a decent enough time to work out in the morning. And that's my excuse and my weakness is we have night owls for kids. And on top of that, we have practices that don't end until 9 o'clock. So, I mean, I could go to sleep while you're awake, but like, I have a bedtime routine. Lane was like, Silas will go to bed at 10 o'clock. So if Silas is going to bed at 10 o'clock, that means there's still a mess somewhere in the house to pick up and wind down and get in bed. And so it's like 11:30. I would love to be a part of the 5 a.m. club, but if I'm supposed to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night and I'm not going to bed till 11 or 12, so that's the vicious cycle I get in. It's like, oh, I'm not going to work out this evening because if I work out, I'll be too amped. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to go to bed early. Then family life happens and I go to bed late. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll start tomorrow because I'll get good rest. And it never ends. And maybe I need to figure out that, hey, I can operate on less than 8 hours of sleep. Like, yeah, they say that's what you need. But me personally, I can get by on 6. So I can get up at 5 and do these things. And I think that as you go, sometimes there are events that happen that make the pain of not changing becomes greater than the pain of the change. So, all right, I'm getting up at 5 now whether I want to or not because I have to. Because, my blood pressure went up or whatever it might be. You have that little wake-up call.
Also, when you work out in the morning, you have more energy all day.
No doubt. But it's getting to the workout to get the energy that sucks.
Well, to your point, like, obviously there's stress of a baby, but I have friends with older kids, like, during activities and stuff, like, our schedule's a lot easier. Like, my 7-month-old doesn't have any activities. Like,
Right.
Yeah, we're getting up in the night with her, but, like, it's, she went to bed at 6:30 before I came here, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but there's always other things. Like, the fact that the good thing I see from my vantage point is what you need to do every day to be the best dad and be the best husband and be the best employee, and you make it a priority. My challenge to you would be, as your daughter gets older and work gets bigger, like, don't compromise that. Because once you compromise it, it's harder to get back into it.
Yeah.
Like, I used to religiously be 6 a.m. CrossFit Monday through Friday. Saturday I was there, and then I slowly started to get away from that. And like I said, I can't get up to get to a 6 a.m. class because I let that fade. I could have been very strict. Like, when I let that leave my discipline, I did not know what I know now. Had I known back then, I would have been like, everything else is building around this. This is the thing I'm being selfish about, non-negotiable. I'm not giving up my 6 a.m. class. So if that means we got to put the boys down at 9 o'clock and then never become night owls, that's what we're going to do. But I became selfless and prioritized everybody else, let that good habit go away, and now it's hard to get back. So my challenge to you is, don't let that budge. Or if your ideal day changes because of those things, you still know that your workout's in there. Maybe it ends up being, okay, it's fine, it's not first thing in the morning for whatever reasons. Like Silas, I have to wake him up at 6:30. So another reason it's hard for me to work out in the morning is I like being the one that gets Silas up and getting him his breakfast ready. And like, we have our morning routine. I don't want to jeopardize that. So what I haven't done good is prioritizing this is the time for the workout, because now I start to put my clients in front of me, and so that'd be my challenge to you.
I think it's more a matter of, since this is about you this evening.
It's about you.
But you,
Yeah.
you. I think it's just a matter of not allowing you to become just a lesser person, whatever that means, because it will be different throughout your lives. I mean, Denise and I sitting here as we are, the elders in this room. The only thing we have is those years, but years over your past, right? So, Jay, as you've talked about and we've spoken to, you're going to have different versions of yourself because of whatever you choose in life, right? I mean, if you and Ange didn't have Three Musketeers, this would be a different talk.
So this talk wouldn't be happening because I'd be in California.
No, you wouldn't.
I know what you're saying.
I was just saying, but no, you wouldn't. At least right not now. But all I'm saying is I think what we need to do, and you're talking this evening about giving yourself time, is it doesn't have to be that hour and a half at 5 a.m. in the morning during the years that you have your children when they're a certain age, or that can be because she's only 7 months old, or the other daughter is...
No, just one.
Oh, just one, okay. So while she's 7 months old, you should still get that in. But as she becomes like Silas's age, and then he has to get up at 6 because his school starts at 7, well, that 5 a.m. gym is just not going to happen. But that's okay. Just as your day goes on, that's okay too. The definition of you through the exercise, Justin knows, and some of you have heard me talk, this is my hardest challenge, is to be me. Because my DNA is, I see something that needs to be done and it's somebody else, and I just gravitate that way. But that should be, and my statement is, that should be okay. If that's your ideal you, then you go ahead and keep doing that. The point is, I just have to realize that somewhere in this day, I've got to give myself some time. And whether that's 15 minutes when I'm 30, or it becomes an hour when I'm whatever. Now I'm full circle because my family is older, but we've got 5 of these to work in. So our commitment is to them. Could we be less than that? Absolutely, even though they're here. But our DNA is everything about them now. So our weekends are them. We've got three here and then 2 southeast side. The only saving grace we have is that one of them is a young lady, so she's not doing a whole lot. She only has 2 times in a year. She's got her spring, or summer and winter dance rehearsal until she decides to do volleyball. Then but that's our choice. So that's our ideal us, is our weekend is them. And that's okay, but still, Jay, I think to your talk tonight is, and your exercise is, somewhere in there you still got to build you.
Right.
And
It's
okay,
not that you shouldn't do things for others and be selfless, but it's be selfish first so you can be selfless.
Right.
Being selfless first actually ends up being selfish because you can't give your full self to everybody.
Right.
And you make your life more miserable. And it doesn't have to be hours a day for you to take care of yourself. It could be short little spurts. It could be a 5-minute meditation, a 30-minute walk. Like you could make it small enough times if you need to give more time, but you're making sure you are taking care of you. So then you can go you're putting your oxygen mask on first before you're putting on your kids.
Right. And again, as we all know, those of us that parents, your time, it's not just you too, it's your time with your partner. That may come at different times during the day too, when you can have that you time, which becomes we time. And that, I think, becomes important too. It's not just you, it's a we if you have a we.
We'll integrate other people as the talks go on.
Yeah.
Tonight's just about this.
That's what I'm saying. I think just from this and the exercise is excellent in recognizing that you only need to find spots throughout your day so that you can concentrate on yourself, whatever that is. I think. I'm not good at it.
No.
I'm not good at it. I'm still searching for that.
Well, it's pushing 8. Any other
Yeah.
questions, thoughts, or anything?
I
Yeah.
had some thoughts.
Awesome. Yes.
I think sometimes you don't realize you did prioritize yourself, so it's just important to check in with yourself
Right.
and kind of look back. And I think that talks like this are very important to look back and kind of reflect and check in where you are with your batteries and also like if you're aligned or not.
Right.
Because sometimes as life gets busy and some people have very busy seasons of life as well, depending on where you are, it's important to have that kind of schedule with yourself
Yeah.
to check in.
I think awareness is like really, really important across the board. Awareness of everything. But like to your point, talks like this, you may have come in here already being aware of this a little bit, and this might just be a reminder. And the talk is a reminder for me. But there are people who are out there that if they catch us on YouTube or they catch on the podcast, they never even thought about this before. Like they never had an awareness. So now that they have an awareness, they can start to begin to pay attention to it, and they can notice, oh, like when I do these things, I'm not as moody. I feel better. Like maybe I should do more of these things. So I think awareness is really key. Yeah.
I work with women that I have, my company is, for them, it's a part-time job. And I catch myself saying things that I hear so repetitively in my home from him. It's like I've just been immersed into this for years because of him. And I'll say things, and these women that, you know, to them, they're like, I'm just a mom, this is just a part-time job. They've never been introduced to these types of things. And it's almost like just bringing these kind of things, like he said, this awareness to light for them. It's crazy to me because I've been so immersed into it for so long because of him. But when you're aware of it and you can bring it to other people, that's cool too, because there are so many people that, like you said, don't even think about being aware of it and doing the kind of checks and balances with themselves on all of the things that he's kind of discussed. So I agree with that.
Well, another part of the awareness part of it too is to be able to make other people aware, but within yourself, you know, I believe that we have that band again of ranges we need to be for our alignment, and the further away we get, the louder signals get, and that's where I think we begin to get into bigger traumatic events. So if you have an awareness of like how you're feeling, and you're aware of that, and you're starting to notice that you're drifting away, then you can do the things you need to get back in. Like I know if I start to notice I'm out of alignment, I know exactly what I need to do. Like there's no missing meditation, there's no missing yoga, there's no missing getting some creativity out. And if I do those things, it's in. But I can get ahead of it and not have a big event because I'm aware of how I feel and I'm aware of what brings me back in. So I don't have to have the heart attack because I know that, oh, my shoulder acting up means like I need to get back to doing my yoga because my chest or my back is tight and it's pulling on. Like I'm aware of that so I can fix myself before it gets too far away. And it's like, all right, you're not listening to us on this subtle pain. We're going to give you something bigger to get your attention.
That's currently what I'm most interested in, is catching it right away.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want the feedback 2 weeks later. I want to be able to catch it.
Mhm.
That's what I'm focused on.
I think you learn like kind of your tolerance level, like, and then too, like how you were saying too, when you start to change certain things, like everything around you starts to align too. So like, I feel like, for instance, like everybody I work with now, like if I'm drained or off or anything, all y'all know, you can tell. Like I can send you a text message and I'm like, how in the world did he even know that I was exhausted today? Like on, you know, my last straw. But everybody I work with, like they can just tell everything just comes together.
You know, what Morgan's referring to is we usually meet once a month to do videos. And like there's like one time she messaged me early in the morning to make sure we were on. And I was like, but like I know you had a busy weekend with sectionals and stuff. I was like, let's just push. And she's like, I'm so glad you said that. Like, it was like I knew that her check-in was really a check-in, hoping I would say I didn't want to meet. So I was like,
Not everybody picks up on that.
But the funny thing is, like I could use that time that day for me, so it was perfect. But I knew why she was messaging that way.
It's like, we so good.
But that's and that's how it's a cool thing about alignment. Like when you are aligned with other people, you pick up on those things. So then you already know what she's
Read
thinking.
between the lines.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all of you coming out, especially on a beautiful evening, to come in this conference room. And I hope that within the exercises, maybe you discovered something you hadn't thought about. You have a new awareness about something, or even just something to think about and pay more attention to. I would highly recommend the Ideal Day exercise every so often. And again, mainly because of what it meant to me, but I know that it's really helpful that if you really think about what you want your day to look like, and you could write your script, how awesome, like how good would you feel, how good would you show up? And a lot of times, the ideal day may not be that far away. And then once you see that it's that close, the priorities or the things you might need to change to bring it into reality don't become big obstacles. They become easier to do. So I appreciate you all coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to share on Ryan's ideal day. The top says living in a penthouse in New York City. He's our city kid. Live in a big city one day.